Welcome to Amplifying Recruitment. You can't just ask your recruiters to go back to basics. We need to give them hard-hitting dopamine hits and not the cheap stuff that you get from social media. In this episode, I'm joined by Matt West. Matt is the founder and CEO of EWI. He's built a team that operates across the world, and right now his focus is how to get the most out of the modern recruiter. If you're a recruitment consultant yourself or you're the leader of a business, there's a ton of value inside this episode. Matt, welcome to Amplifying Recruitment.
Thank you for having me.
Could you do like a 45-second intro into you?
Yep. So my name's Matt West. I'm the CEO and founder of EWI Recruitment. I got into recruitment 20 years ago. I fell into it like a lot of people. I ran the recruitment and sales section of the Daily Mirror newspaper. And I started to see a lot of adverts appearing for recruitment agencies. So I started to kind of pitch to see if they would like to advertise in the Mirror. And one thing that attracted me is every advert talked about uncapped commission, which wasn't something I got in other industries. So in the end, I ended up applying for one of those adverts and joining BBT Recruitment. Some
people listening to this will know this, some people won't. You were my first boss.
I was, yes. We worked together at BBT as it started to be incorporated into the kind of larger Randstad.
Obviously now you run EWI, which is a significant business. Could you just maybe do the journey? Like, how did that come about of going from, like lots of people, right? You're working for a business. We went through a period where it was acquired by Randstad, but what was the spur to set up on your own and what's happened so far?
Okay, so it was kind of not forced upon me, but it's a decision that I had to make because of the way the business we was working for was changing. So during the credit crunch, I was a non-billing manager, and I quickly thought to myself that I had to get some fees on the board. All of the markets that we covered, because our territory for Randstad was the London area, were kind of covered. So I started looking further afield into the expat world. And over that 3-year period, I kind of went from being a non-biller and kind of billing upwards of 300k a year and making placements literally across the globe in all different places. As we became more part of Randstad, we had to kind of stick to our geographical remits, which made my desk quite complicated. So I kind of made the decision to go somewhere where I could kind of carry on doing what I wanted to do, but at scale and build it as big as I'd like it to be.
Like personally, I have some quite fond memories of that time, and obviously seeing you, like when I first met you, you were non-billing.
Yeah.
And then that period of hearing like you speaking some broken French with a bit of, and then the next call would be some broken German in there, but then all of a sudden there'd be like a £31,000 fee gone up, and you go like, West used to put in a 31 grand fee, like where's that come from? You were like a bit of a lone wolf, right?
I was, yes. I'd literally had 3 children, so I needed to kind of get some fees on the board and get them quick. And you know, it's old school recruitment. I came across a couple of engineers that were earning sort of 10 to 15k a month. I spoke to them about where they'd worked before, good companies, bad companies they'd worked with, and just reverse engineered a desk out of the first few placements that I made and the people that I worked with. And as soon as you find that trail of gold and you start talking to those great people, it kind of expands and expands. And after a little while, then I had other people sort of come in and joining me and be involved in that as well.
You almost say that as like a throwaway, well, I just reverse engineered a recruitment desk. I'm not sure that's a skill set that lots of people have, the ability to pick one person, find someone and go, this guy earns lots of money, I don't really know a lot about it, but I'll dive in, I'll find out, and I'll go hunting for where the money is.
Yeah, I think good people know good people, whether that be people who are working in recruitment or engineers or companies we work with. So if you throw yourself into a great environment around great people and you do a really good job, people will back you. And, you know, one of the first engineers that I got a job for, he then referred a couple of his friends to me that I then got jobs for that referred me over again. So putting yourself in the right environment with the right people, whether it be as a desk or whether it be inside a recruitment company, is really important, and doing a really good job, not letting people down, whoever it may be. You can really kind of then build on the success and the good things that you do.
So we had this bit here where you start operating, I was going to say going rogue. You weren't going rogue, but you was doing your own thing, like comparative to the rest of the business, right? You were doing something slightly different.
It was, yeah. I didn't do geography at school, an A-level or anything like that. So, I was definitely on Wikipedia finding out where these places were in the world and what they were like, and kind of speaking to the engineers that had worked there. But no, literally, like in the first couple of years, I racked up placements in 25 different countries and all over parts of the world. So it was, I would say, could be seen as a little bit rogue, but these were good engineering companies, international businesses, projects that were funded by the World Bank, by the EU. I was just going to places where that engineering excellence was needed to kind of push that country forward.
I've never asked you this, actually. Was there ever did you ever get in trouble? Like, did anyone at Randstad go like, how the hell are we going to send an invoice to someone in Uzbekistan?
No, but the slight issue is that obviously these fees were, as you said, these fees were quite big, and I think when I was then sending these invoices to maybe to Italy or to Germany, etc., that's when it was a little bit difficult, because then I was crossing onto other people's patches. Okay,
so and then that probably brings us into the next part, right? So you start treading on other people's toes. Then what happened? How do we get from there to EWI being born?
So, with inside a big corporate, which is as it should be, I could have had to stick to my territory, which was inside the M25, which was quite different from what I was doing. So, I kind of made the decision that I needed to sort of go somewhere where I could sort of spread my wings and be unrestricted in the places that I wanted to do business in. So I was introduced to Engage, which is a sort of a portfolio investor of recruitment businesses. I was backed by Adam Heron and James Khan at the time, who was the sort of owner of Engage, to build their first international recruitment business. So all of their current businesses, Eden Brown, resourcing group, were very centred on the UK construction, healthcare markets. So they wanted to back my crazy idea.
Do we just walk me through that process? So you're introduced to Adam and James Khan. Like how rigorous was that? Is it interview? Is it you like with a pitch, a presentation? Like and I'm sure there's various stages.
All of the above. So it's down to the business plan. What are you going to be doing? Where's it going to be expanding? Is it commercially viable? Is it legal? Can we operate in these territories? Through to a P&L, calculating how quickly we can create revenue, but also importantly as well in the startup, how quickly can we get cash in to pay for the salaries. So everything from the business plan to the financial model to convincing those guys to lend me the money to kind of get the business started up, to then looking at the first people. Obviously I started the business with Chip, and there was a few others of us, to kind of convince the team as well that for us to take this kind of leap into doing something for most of the team very different from what they were doing at the time.
How long did that process last of going backwards and forwards with ideas and business plans? And
probably a good 3 months. And also as me making the decision as well as to whether I wanted to kind of take the risk to go and do something like this, because I was doing quite well. I was kind of being paid really well. It was a company that was the first place that I got my first recruitment job. So you remember it was a great place to work, great people. So it was a big leap. But no matter what you do in recruitment, it's very difficult to earn enough to just being a manager. A billing manager is the hardest job in recruitment, but it's also the most financially rewarding and the most rewarding personally as well. So I did not want to lose doing what I was doing. I was very passionate about it. So, I got to the point of probably have to make this leap if I want to carry on being happy in what I'm doing.
Okay. And so they say, let's do this. What's the first 6 months of that like? Like, it must be exciting, scary. What was going on?
So the first 6 months, the first 6 months are the most fun. They're also the most stressful, the most scary. You are restricted massively in terms of what you can and what you can't do, rightly so. You're running a business where before you were kind of running a team, and there's a lot of different facets that you kind of take for granted when you work for a bigger company, in terms of invoicing and how everything works, IT, kind of getting everything moving. You take on a lot more responsibilities. And also as well, the financial side. I never really looked at the debt before, and I never kind of looked at how much cash was in the bank account. I just kind of got my head down, recruited, did well, pushed the team forward, worked really well together. And this was different. Even if we were making fees, we had to collect that cash. We had to kind of get it into the bank. And as you probably know, we kind of run out of money 6 months in. I was on holiday at the time and had to take out a bank loan to do payroll for the team.
What goes through your head there? You're sat in Mallorca.
It was scary. But I've got such a good team around me that I knew that we could do it, and it was just a bump in the road. And I'd already put so much of myself, and the team had put so much of themselves into the business at that point that I was more than happy to kind of take out the loan and put the money in, but it was really, really scary. And I'd already kind of salary sacrificed, put everything I had already into the business, all the savings that I had before. So it was kind of like I'd put all my chips in at that point. There was kind of nothing left. But the business just went from strength to strength afterwards.
At that period, you've got to go and take out another loan, and you've already put everything in already. Was it a cash flow thing? It's
just pure cash, yeah. And working in a big corporate, you never have to think about cash. It's there, but even if you're making placements, the P&L looks good, all of that type of stuff, you still need to have the physical cash in the bank to pay for your rent, to pay staff salaries. And it's so easy to just look at a P&L and, the P&L and EBIT and that type of good stuff. It's accounting. We kind of forget about the real stuff, which is how much actual physical money is there. And the P&L was great. We were ahead of budget on fees. We were ahead of budget on profit. We just weren't getting paid on time by our customers or quickly enough, or our invoicing wasn't good enough for it to kind of flow through.
Okay, so that was at 6 months.
That was at 6 months, yeah.
And then smooth sailing from there?
Yeah, so I think we grew to 12 people by the end of the first year. Some more good recruiters I knew in the market started to kind of trust the plan. I mean, I'd been setting the plan to everybody for a long time, but people like to kind of see that it is a success and it's moving forward. And then we quickly started moving forward from there. I think by the third year, we'd grown to about 30 people, and we hadn't actually lost a member of staff by that time, which Tim Cook, who was our then CEO, and everybody thought was very peculiar for a recruitment business because they're kind of known for having quite large staff turnover.
So this is a really interesting thing that what I find interesting about you specifically is that you've set up your own business, and then I know a lot of the people personally that I would say followed you, where, like you said, you're selling the concept to everyone, but they've gone, so if Matt says this is the way to go, this is the way to go. And it's almost not cult-like. Well, maybe it is cult-like, but in a positive way. They go like, you're our leader, we'll go with you. Like there's something about that. And then what you just followed that up with, which I didn't know, that you didn't lose a member of staff for 3 years. That's unheard of. That just doesn't happen in any business, let alone a recruitment business.
Yeah, for good and bad reasons, But it's just because we kind of trust each other. All of us want to do well in life. All of us want to move forward, but we know that we are much stronger together as a team. We've got strengths and we've got weaknesses that the others complement. So, and if we make an idea and we make a plan, we can kind of trust each other that we can follow it through and kind of move forward. And in the recruitment world, nothing ever goes to plan. You kind of have to, you've got a strategy, you've got where you want to get to, but kind of getting there is is a path that moves a lot. And we just kind of trust each other that we know what the vision is, and we just kind of keep moving forward to getting there.
But what is it then that you do that other people don't? Because that is, and I know you simplify it, and maybe you're overly humble with it, that we just trust each other and we work together. That doesn't happen in other businesses. It doesn't happen where a leader leaves and like all of these people, these high performers go, I want to carry on working for that guy and leave the safety of Randstad. What is it that you're doing?
I haven't got a clue. The only thing I would say is we all just try to be really honest with each other, and kind of be open about what we're doing, whether those are positives or kind of negative things. And we, sometimes there are games that operate inside businesses to kind of get things done. And I think sometimes games can be quite complicating and they kind of throw people off. So maybe we just keep things really simple, and we don't try to do things in a complicated way. We try to be open book with everything that we do. Even though I'm the CEO, I don't have an office, I sit on the sales floor. We have quite a flat management structure. All of us can communicate quite easy with each other, even though the size that we are. Because a lot of the great ideas we get, a lot of the things that move the business forward, they can come from anywhere. They can come from somebody new joining the business. So trying to keep that culture open where everybody's got a voice and everybody can kind of help move the business forward. It's just communication, really. And I can be awful at communication, honestly. Half the conversations I have in my head sometimes I think I've had with people that I haven't. And again, the team are really great with that. So they know to kind of pick up on what I'm saying and kind of push me for more information. But I tend to try and be as honest as possible.
I love the way you just simplify all of this. But in those first 3 years then, we say we got up to 30 people, didn't lose anyone. What was going on during that time? Like as a business, what was going on?
We were growing. We were doing lots of things that we hadn't done before. So we were all growing as individuals and growing as people.
What's an example of that? We say we were doing things we hadn't done before.
So we were breaking into new territories, into new markets, into new countries that we hadn't operated in before. So it's very collaborative when you're doing work like that, when you're discovering kind of how to make things work, and you're kind of having to shoot off into a room with a group of people in your team, and you're just getting your heads down, collaborating, swapping ideas, putting your kind of war stories together. And I think that's the kind of magic of recruitment sometimes, is that if you put a group of intelligent people in the room together, generally they'll always come up with the same decision together. It's just how you get to that decision. If somebody just gives the decision from the top and says, this is it, go and do it, it's very hard to implement and get buy-in. If you kind of all get there together and you're coming up with these ideas together and solving them together, it's not anyone's idea, it's our idea, it's our solution. And when you're building one of the new, because my business grows by starting up new divisions and new teams, so we're always in startup mode. That's the kind of fun thing about it. But I think that them first 3 years were just great fun, because lots of new people were joining the business, people that I'd worked with before, but they'd gone down a different path, and they'd kind of come back and they were joining a new business that we set up. We were hitting records constantly, opening new offices in different places. It was just fun, real good recruitment fun. Very similar to our BBT days.
Yeah, and it's that where you say like it's that startup mode, and there's something about that, isn't there, of just like we're all in this together and we're all grafting, but at some point that has to change, right? And you said within 3 years we hadn't lost anyone, but then at some point you do, right? You do.
Oh yeah, of course. And I think we'd been quite lucky. So the market was moving with us. All the territories that we had gone into, we'd been incredibly successful. But I think because we were still a relatively small business, and we were trying to play in a very big world with against some big competitors, we didn't take some of the risks that we probably should have done. One of those being, I think at that point, maybe 70% of what we was doing was in the Middle East market. But we decided that we wanted to carry on operating in the Middle East from the UK as a remote company. And all of our competitors kind of went over there and set up shop because they were larger. They had, those are the things that you learn from in a business, that when that opportunity is put in front of you, you have to take a risk. You have to kind of back yourself, back the team, and kind of back the model to kind of invest and kind of put yourself in a position where you can carry on taking advantage of the market.
And you look back in hindsight and you go, yeah, we should have opened in the Middle East.
Yeah.
You've obviously learned from that, because you've got a ton of offices all over the world now. Well, not a ton of offices, but you're opening several locations.
We are,
aren't you?
yeah. So if we see an opportunity now, and it can't just be a one-off, we have to see there being longevity, because it's incredibly expensive to open up new entities, to open up new offices. We have to have some of our team members that are willing to move to that country, so we can keep the culture, we can keep the way that we work as a business. But if those things are aligned now, our investors, who are great and kind of support us in all of the crazy things that we like to go and do, they support and back us to go and, you know, do these, what would have been when we started the business, crazy ideas, but now they're like, no, this is what we do as a business.
Yeah.
Who's going?
Incredible. Will you just give me like some more insight into that? So you spot an opportunity in a location, maybe you've got a consultant that's, I don't know, made several placements. What else do you need to see for you to go to the investors and go, we need to open in this location?
It needs to be a country that we can do business in, that we can kind of set up ourselves there and have a legal entity. It needs to be a market that we perceive to be growing, and even if it's not going to be in total boom forever, it's going to be a stable recruitment market where we can take market share and do something different and kind of take our uniqueness to the market.
How do you assess that? Like that bit there of it's got to be a market that we perceive to be growing. What are the things that you look for to say, yes, that's given me all the right
policies,
signals?
so government spending. If a country has maybe for Europe, for example, they've got their 2030 plan for renewables. A country's going through an infrastructure push. There's something more than, there's more than a few businesses that are doing quite well there that need staff to. This country is going to look very different in 5-10 years' time.
Amazing. Okay, cool. Is there anything else? Sorry, I interrupted you there. You said like we've got to be able to trade legally there. We've got to see those things there.
Yeah, we've got to have people that would in the business that would be kind of interested in moving there. And let's be honest, if things go well, which they should do, we're spending the rest of their lives there as well.
Has that ever held you back, where you've had an opportunity and someone said, no, I don't want to live in Munich, or we haven't got anyone in the business that wants to live in that location?
No, not yet. Our business is very international. So I think we are maybe 25 different nationalities that speak 40 different languages. Wow. So a lot of people join EWI, they move internationally to join EWI in London, or they join us internationally in our offices in Spain or America or Poland. So we have a kind of a team that are open to living and moving in different places.
I suppose it's probably one of the draws of coming to work for you versus another company, that you've got that opportunity, right? If you can go and build something, create something.
That's how we grow as a business. A lot of recruitment businesses are the same. We all operate in the same markets. Obviously, the people that work there, the culture and stuff is very, very different. But if I need, if I want to keep hold of my best people, if I want to keep them challenged, that's one of the things that me and the senior team are doing constantly. We have to grow the business, we have to diversify it, we have to be able to create the ability to payroll in most countries, to create entities that we can trade in parts of Asia. We have to work really hard to build that platform so that we can keep hold of our top people and they can go and fulfill their kind of career dreams and the goals they want to do. Yeah. It's hard. Yeah, it really is. Yeah. But I enjoy it. I love it. We love these challenges. It's kind of what keeps the job interesting and the business moving forward. Keeps us in startup mode.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's something really exciting about that, of being, like we're saying, being in that startup mode and having everyone in it together. If your revenue isn't where it should be, it's time to change how your team sells. We've just released the next dates for our flagship business development training, Turn Farmers into Hunters. This is a live in-person training in London where you'll walk away with proven frameworks, ready to use client engagement funnels and conversion skills that you can apply immediately. All the info and sign-up details are in the link in the comments. I mentioned there about your people wanting to follow you, right? And you've got this ability to get good people in and around you. obviously you're in a different place now to maybe what you were in startup mode when you had those sort of 12 people in the first 12 months. What do you look for now when you're meeting people? And I know that you meet a hell of a lot of people.
Yep.
That you're always in recruitment phase. What are you looking for? So
we kind of grow in two ways. One is we built a graduate trainee academy, which he was very much part of, and it's been absolutely brilliant for us over the past 4 years. We look to bring in more junior people to come into teams that are in growth mode, where there is a desk rhythm and there's a way of working, and people can come and learn recruitment and grow with the team. And then when we are looking to move into more new markets, or we're looking to do something different, that's when we'll look for experienced talent in the market to come and join us and add their skills and experience to us as a business. So there are kind of two ways that we look to grow.
So I'd be really keen to unpick those. So then if you're looking at experienced first, and then we'll look at maybe the junior rookie stuff. The experienced people, you meet an experienced recruiter, what is it you're looking for that's like, yeah, he's one or she's one of us, they're going to fit in here?
Longevity in career, somebody who's been in a company and has worked there a long time. And the reasons for that is that somebody experienced would generally be joining us to work in one of our startup teams. And startups can either go really, really well, or they can be really, really tough. And even the best ones I've seen, it's really, really challenging for the 6 months. So seeing in somebody's career that they've kind of been through a hard time and they've stuck with a business when the market's kind of gone down is important, because I can't guarantee that it's going to come in and turn to gold instantly.
What about on the other side? So like you said, you've really successful graduate program, bringing through rookies. What's your first thing you look for with them? We look for people really that who can build relationships, who are personable, who can problem solve, and are competitive in a good way. There's something in their lives, or there's something in their past or a sport where they've had to kind of compete and excel. Because a recruitment floor is competitive in a good way. It doesn't. People talk about competitiveness all the time, and it tends to be something that is seen as negative. But when you have a great bunch of people around each other that are competing for the same goal, and they're competing together, and they're competing against each other on a sales league, they get the best out of each other. So we look for people that want to build a long-term career, that want to do something different, that have been through something where they've had to come through some sort of adversity or compete at a high level, and they kind of want to bring that personality and that energy into our business. How do you test for the ability to build relationships? So if you're interviewing someone, or you've got them on I know you've got a group interview type thing, how do you test for that? So we have a journey. So anybody who comes to work for EWI, there'll be a telephone conversation with maybe me at the start. So I get involved in graduate recruitment. I do recruitment across the board, up to if we need to bring in maybe somebody in a senior operational role, because there's nothing more important than the people you hire in your business. So I like to kind of be involved everywhere. And then we come in, meet the team, meet the potential people that you would work with, meet the other directors, meet other people that have joined recently as well, so they can get a good idea of what it's like in the company. Through to then we get everybody to do a presentation. They go away and kind of put together a 10-15 minute presentation of the desk they would be doing, the salaries, the roles, the market, to make sure that someone is interested in what they're doing in recruitment. That, are you excited about this market? Are we excited about you doing this market? And then through to kind of like the final stages where they'll properly meet the team they'll be working with. So it's probably about 5 or 6 stages, and we do that in the business kind of no matter kind of what level that somebody operates at. What I love about that is it gives people the opportunity to self-exclude. And you were going to lose, those people were never going to be any good anyway. If someone says, I don't fancy doing a 15-minute presentation, they're probably not for you. Yeah. We honestly, we get quite a few people at that stage, they decide that they may not want to move forward. But it's a really important stage now to be able to kind of present yourself. Most of the work we do, and the marketing, the phone calls that we make, all of that is trying to drive us to a point
to get the client or the candidate to have a Teams call with us.
Yeah.
So the ability to be comfortable presenting, to be authentic, to be able to kind of build relationships is really important. So if you're building those relationships with us during the journey and we're buying into you, you're buying into us, and you're presenting yourself and we're liking it, then that's exactly what you're going to be doing next week with our clients and our candidates. So it just it's such a smooth transition and gives us all confidence.
When we were talking like a week or so ago, and we were talking about topics for this, you got some thoughts on what our expectations are of rookies, of newbies, and how we treat them and what we get them to do. Like what's the stuff that's going on for you at the moment there?
I think recruitment's quite tough at the moment. A lot of the ways that we used to work are changing. You've got AI, you've got automation coming in, and the role of a 360 now, an individual contributor, as you call them, is hard. There's about 20, I was working out the other day, there's like 25 different things you need to do in a week. And recruitment, if you do everything in recruitment right and you follow the model and you do all the things that you need to do, generally things work out okay. It's just nowadays there's so many different things to do that it is hard. And we as people put aside the kind of work aspect of things. Technology is out there at the moment to make our lives easier. So whether it be communicating with your bank, getting a loan, redoing your insurance, most adverts you see are like, chill out, relax, how do you make your life easier? Get your food delivered to home rather than go down the shop and get it. So doing hard things is what I think makes recruiters and recruitment companies great. But we're in a world at the moment where technology is trying to make everything easier for ourselves. So one of the things I'm kind of like really keen on at the moment, and I'm delving into, and I kind of mentioned it, is a guy called Andrew Huberman, and an exec guy that I was working with, Colin Hawes, was explaining to me about the anterior mid-cingulate cortex.
You'll have to tell me what that is.
Okay, so I don't want to kind of AMCC. I'll just abbreviate it because I kind of get it wrong half of the time. It's the part of our brain that makes us do stuff we don't want to do, to put it as simply as possible. So any hard things that we do, this is the part of our brain that is used. Any time that we don't use it and we don't do hard things, it actually shrinks and it gets smaller, and then it kind of gets harder to make it do those hard things again. And for some people who are newish in recruitment, they've never had to use a phone before, as in getting up a list of 30 people and calling them, because in the modern world, if I was to speak to one of my daughters and I was to show me what it would be like to phone somebody, they'd instantly kind of do that, because they're very good at doing FaceTimes and they're very good at doing kind of video calls. When I call them up and speak to them on the phone, they're quite awkward, because it's not something that they're used to. And the recruitment game that we're in is all about building relationships. It really is. One defining thing of a good recruiter would be the relationships they have in the market, whether they be clients or candidates. You can't build real relationships on email. If you're getting AI to rewrite your messages for you and sending them out, the person that's introducing themselves on email is unauthentic. It's not you. It's an AI version of you that's been played. Yeah, of course you put in some stuff to say make it more like this and more like that, but where you build those real relationships is getting somebody on the phone, having that initial conversation with them, dealing with any initial objections that they've got, or I don't use recruiters, but you must do, all the kind of tricks and stuff that you do. And then what I think is really important now is then pushing for that video call. And we've been introducing back into our business human hours. You will know them as power hours from your time working with me, where for a couple of hours a day, we just shut everything down. We get on the phones, we get up a long list of our clients or our candidates that we kind of want to speak with. And yeah, you have to make quite a few dials to get through to somebody, but 10 to 15 dials and you've got on the phone that bronze candidate, that bronze person that you've never spoken to before, and you're flipping them into a video call pretty quickly. So where I'm working with the team at the moment is it's easy for us who have been in recruitment for 15, 20 years to go, look, it's a little bit tough out there at the moment. Let's get back to basics. a lot of people joined recruitment 5 years ago where we were in a totally different market, in a totally different way of recruiting. They have no reference back to
Basics.
what the basics are.
Yeah.
So, you can talk to your team and say, just get on the phones, just do this. And it isn't just getting on the phones, it's calling with purpose. Why do you want to speak to this person? Have you got something interesting to say to them? Have you got a solution for them? If so, then get on the phone. I would have hoped, as most of us recruiters do now, we're out there anyway. These aren't cold calls, they're warm calls. These are people that we would have sent great resumes to. We would have introduced ourselves. We would have sent them some news about our business. So they know who we are. We just may necessarily have kind of had a real genuine conversation yet. So we've been doing that for the last month or so at the moment. It's been brilliant. Like the buzz you get when you use your AMCC and you're growing it, the dopamine hit that you get is massive comparative to, I call them cheap dopamine hits, the ones you get when the little in-mail message kicks off in LinkedIn, like, who's that? Who's messaged me? So we kind of like playing the dopamine game a bit at the moment, do the harder stuff, get the bigger dopamine hit. If you're doing the kind of the smaller stuff, you're going to get the smaller dopamine hit. So we're bit of neuroscience brought into the recruitment game at the moment.
I love that. So there's a real structure around it, right? Of you remove the choice. We're all doing this together.
Yes, and it's not practical constantly, and not everybody does it perfectly every day, but it's working. I mean, I had a phone call just before I came in here from one of the team. He had just done his kind of human hour. He ended up he was on the phone to like one client for 45 minutes. So it never ended up being him canvassing for an hour, but it was somebody that we've been trying to talk to for a very long time. And we've got a video call with them on Friday, which could potentially lead to quite a lot of business. He was buzzing. He's not even had the call yet with the client. We don't even know what it is, but we're going to have that phone conversation now, and it's going to be something really interesting from what it sounds like.
Yeah, and
I'm buzzing for it as well. Yeah, I wasn't even on the call.
You're buzzing, he's buzzing. It's that dopamine hit, but like you said, it's a real one rather than the what do you call it? A cheap dopamine hit. Yeah,
it's like we're all addicted. Let's be honest, right? A lot of us are addicted to our phones at the moment. So the dopamine hit that we're getting is a like, a comment, something that's kind of coming through, and they're great, but they're very small. And they stop you from going for the bigger dopamine hits because you're kind of dopamined out. You've had it all through the small bursts. So there are the kind of different ways of getting that hit. So at the moment, I don't have any apps where I'm watching videos or anything like that because I can literally start watching a Korean barbecue video at the moment because that's what I'm doing. And the next minute I've wasted 45 minutes kind of watching videos on it.
Have you just deleted all of those then?
Yeah, I've deleted them. Yeah, I can't trust myself. Honestly, the algorithms are so clever that they get me hooked on kind of whatever it is I'm focused on at that time.
Yeah.
And I don't need those distractions. I want to spend my time thinking about things that I'm trying to do. So this is what I say to my team as well, and I'm really honest about this. Like, don't have your emails on your personal phone. When you wake up in the morning, it's when you're most aspirational. It's when you've got energy flowing through your body. That is when you kind of need to think about yourself, your business, your team, your desk, and kind of be aspirational. If you wake up, pick up your phone, look at an email, and it automatically gives you an admin task or a problem to solve, that's you gone for the day. You're now totally focused on fixing that piece, whether it's big or small or whatever. You've kind of stopped that creativity flowing in the morning. So I kind of wake up in the mornings. I do read the news. I love the news. I want to catch up what's happening around the world, but I don't kind of start my job and my emails until I get into the office.
That's really interesting, that, isn't it? And I think that there's a lot of founders and owners I'm speaking to about this. There was someone telling me about this thing called the brick. Where you have to leave it upstairs and you have to tap your phone on it to be able to unlock all the apps and stuff. So if you're sat downstairs, what he was saying is, like he said, sometimes I'm sitting there watching the football and I go to look on my phone. It's like, why are you not just enjoying the game of football? He said, so now if he wants to look on his phone, just go upstairs, tap it on the brick and then come back downstairs to look. So you just end up not doing it.
Yeah, I need to Google that. That sounds really good.
Yeah. But all of these things I've got one that blocks Facebook on my phone. Well, it gives you like a 12-second block before you go on it. So you make a choice, and I think it's an interesting thing because even if you think like pre-COVID actually, before pre-working, that's how most people would act, wouldn't they? You couldn't check your emails because you didn't have them on your phone.
No, we didn't.
You got to the office at 8:15 and then you'd have a look at your emails. But you call it addiction. You said I'm addicted to my phone. I think it's absolutely that for most of us. And I think it's fascinating that you're looking into all of this behavioural science and the psychology of what's going on to get enhanced performance in your team.
Yeah. I've been on exec training recently. I presumed executive training would be around P&L, strategy, how to run businesses, and it's not at all. It's on you. It's on how you interact with your team, how you support them, how you look after yourself, the amount of sleep that you get. I mean, I know that you kind of track your sleep as well, and I'm kind of bang on tracking my sleep as well at the moment. So for you to function well in your job, for you to be successful, and for you to be able to support your team and your family and everything else, you need to look after yourself. So it's so interesting to see that kind of like that's, you know, it's maybe a part that I didn't think about as much as I should have before, but now it's interesting. It's opened my eyes a bit.
Just moving back to business things, we're almost out of time. What's the future hold for EWI? What are you looking forward to in 2026?
So we've recently opened up a new operations in Spain. It's quickly grown to kind of 4 or 5 people. We're interviewing another 4 or 5 people at the moment who are really keen to join the business.
Whereabouts in Spain?
Malaga.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, it's really good. So I'm really excited I'm really excited for that office. We have a bunch of new managers that have moved there. I'm really excited for our mission critical business. I'm excited for our infrastructure business, our environmental business, our US business. Honestly, everything seems to be going quite well at the moment. I just get excited now in working with my managers and the kind of the business really to grow it. EWI looks quite big from the outside, but really underneath that it's 6 or 7 teams that are all quite unique. We don't have a standard operating model where everybody recruits in a certain way. The teams are designed around their market, they're designed around the person that leads them, and they're designed to really kind of capture that market and do well. So we've kind of fine-tuned those individual teams. Some of them are kind of a lot more advanced than they are to some are kind of a lot more at start-up stage at the moment. But you could just see over the next couple of years, these small teams will turn into divisions that will turn into...
You said there about like working with your managers, and for as long as I've known you, it's always been that you've almost got these, call them generals, I don't know if that's the right word, but coming back to the thing you said earlier, you trust them implicitly, they trust you implicitly, and you let them run their area of the business.
100%. I think one thing I kind of, and what I'm messed up on at the start of running the business is that I was doing too many different things. I was involved in far too many parts of the business. It was kind of like when I stepped back and not delegated, because delegate isn't the word, but the leaders of the business were leading their divisions. They were responsible for them fully with my help and support, but I kind of like facilitated, enabled, and kind of got out the way. That's when we really started growing as a business. Unfortunately, nobody can learn through someone else's mistakes. Otherwise, as humans, we'd all be perfect because our parents could just tell us, don't do that, just do this, etc. So recruitment is a journey, and you know, you've got to go through your own path. You've got to, you know, win, change, learn, the stuff that you grow as, and also the things that you make mistakes with as well, you've got to do. So I kind of like to create recruitment vacuums, as I call them, where maybe somebody isn't quite ready to do something yet, but they've got to take that leap. And I'll kind of step back and let them, and sometimes I can see that something's going to happen, but you know, I'll try and soften the edges, etc. But we learn from our mistakes. We grow through hardship sometimes, or when times are tough. So, you know, giving everybody the ability to have their own journey is really, really important.
Like, I know you spend a hell of a lot of time looking into markets, speaking to other recruiters. You got your finger on the pulse. What do you think 2026 looks like more generally for our industry? I
think we've obviously got AI coming in, which is going to change the landscape. But I genuinely believe that recruitment is going to kind of become a little bit more like it was pre-COVID. I think with AI being involved now and picking up a lot of the duties that we had to do before, which we didn't like doing, some of the kind of more routine stuff that had to happen, we're going to have a lot more free time on our hands as recruiters. And what do recruiters like doing? We like talking, we like meeting people, we kind of like getting out and visiting customers, going to conferences. So I feel that the change will be, it's going to be a lot less electronic communication and kind of back to being a lot more face-to-face.
I really hope so. I share that exact same view, that I think that's what a modern recruiter will look like, that the AI frees up loads of time for you so that you can go and do, so you can spend 3 hours on the phone and not have to worry about chasing your timesheets or the other CV formatting nonsense that we used to, like you said, we didn't enjoy doing anyway.
Where I worry is that where we start getting AI to do the high value stuff that we should be doing, because, you know, if that happens, then that's that bit of the role that we did replaced. So it's really important that as recruiters now we evolve to being face to face, to being human. Deji, who you know, kind of one of the founders of EWI, his new saying is "I'm human." Just reiterating that every post that he does is I'm a real. This isn't auto-generated. I've kind of written this myself. There might be some spelling mistakes in here. It might not be grammatically perfect, but this is genuine. This is something that I've put together. So I think that's really important. Is to, with the spare time that you get now, is go and do something interesting with it. Push your career forward. Go and visit a new place. Go and visit that customer that you've been putting off seeing over in, I don't know, where are we going to this week? So next week, some of the team members are over in the Philippines for the week. So, you know, there's nothing better than kind of going and meeting people face to face and spending some real time with your customers and understanding them better, but strengthening that relationship as well.
I love that. That's a really nice way to end. Matt, if anyone's listening to this and they're thinking, I love the sound of what you're doing at EWI, what's the best way for that? Are you open to having a conversation with people?
Yeah, always. I'm on LinkedIn. I try to post as much as possible. So yeah, feel free to reach out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jamie. Really enjoyed that. Cheers.